Good morning and welcome back, my faithful watchers of Miss Cope's Read Aloud. Thank you for tuning in. Today is Wednesday and it's May 13th. Fifth graders out there, you have the day to take a mindful moment or to catch up on any work. And today is the day for teachers to all get together and plan and talk about you all. So it looks like it's going to be a great day. Even though I can't run and get outside and enjoy the weather, I will be okay inside, getting my rest and letting my ankle heal. But for now, we are on Blanche du Bois, the next chapter in our Read Aloud, It Ain't So Awful Falafel by Feroze Dumas. Twice a week I have drama class. We read plays, which are basically books written as if people are talking. It's my first time ever reading plays, and I love it. It feels like I'm an invisible visitor in someone's life. The first play we read is A Streetcar Named Desire by Tennessee Williams. Our teacher, Mrs. Crockett, gave us 2 weeks to read it and write an essay, but I started it on Friday, and now it's Sunday, and I'm almost done reading. It's a very sad story, but I can't put it down. Tennessee Williams makes you think you are right there in New Orleans. I can practically feel the humid weather. I get to the end of the book and the main character, Blanche du Bois, is being taken away to a hospital. And it's a really, really sad scene. She looks at the doctor and says, "I have always depended on the kindness of strangers." I go back and read it again and again. That is the best sentence ever. I could say the same thing about myself. When you move to another country, you always depend on strangers. You're so alone. I thought about all the kinds of people who had helped us in Compton and how without them my life would be so different. I bet when Tennessee Williams wrote that line from Blanche du Bois, he didn't think that a girl from Abadan, Iran would tape it to her wall, but that's just what I do. 2 weeks later, we have to listen to everyone's report on the play. The first person called is Mary Howard. I recognize her from the Girl Scout troop meetings. She's the tallest girl in the troop. She's hard to miss. She walks slowly to the front of the room, and I can tell she's nervous. Before she begins, Mrs. Crockett says, "All right, class, I want you on your best behavior." Mrs. Crockett is a sweet-looking older lady, the exact type of teacher that certain kids don't listen to. That's one thing I quickly figured out about middle school. The kids are so much ruder than in elementary school. Mary starts speaking with a shaky voice. I am doing my report on the main character in A Streetcar Named Desire. She pronounces it Desiree instead of Desire. A boy in the front row turns around and says, "Desiree! She called her Desiree! What an idiot!" He says it so loudly that the whole class hears. Then a couple other kids start laughing and saying, "Desiree, Mary looks like she is about to cry." Maybe this is why my mom resists learning English. She's afraid people will make fun of her if she makes a mistake. It takes a while for Mrs. Crockett to calm down. She's not very good at that. Mary starts again, but she keeps forgetting her speech and saying, all the time. After class, I run up to her. "Hey, I thought that it was pronounced Desiree too," I say. "That is not true." "I'm so embarrassed," she says. "My speech was horrible." "Not at all," I insist. "Those kids are just mean, and mean people are always louder than the rest of us." "Hey, weren't you at the Girl Scout meeting?" "I was. Were you there too?" "Yes, I'm Cindy, and I just moved here." "Nice to meet you." She holds out her hand, and I shake it. Everyone calls me Howie. There are a lot of Marys in our class. "All right, Howie," I say, smiling. And just like that, with a little help from Tennessee Williams, I made another friend. Next chapter. Klutz. We're almost finished with dinner when David's dad stopped by. His name is also David, but my dad calls him Davud, which is the Persian version. They met a couple weeks ago when he came over and asked to borrow our ladder. They met a couple weeks ago when he came over and asked to borrow our ladder. My dad was so happy. He actually gave a short lecture on the oil industry during the time it took him to get the ladder out of our garage and into theirs. Dr. Klein didn't seem to mind. My father opens the door and invites him in. "Thank you, but I just wanted to return the ladder. I was able to do a lot of projects around the house veranda. Any time, David. And would you like dinner or something to drink? My dad asked. I just ate, thank you, says Dr. Klein. Are you sure? No dinner, Dr. David? My mother asked, popping in from the kitchen. Yes, thank you, says Dr. Klein. Just a little, my mom presses on. I'm good, says Mr. Klein, smiling at my mom. I only have a few minutes before I gotta get back home, but thank you, maybe next time. I appreciate that. He is not annoyed, since some people would be. Next time, my mom repeats, stopping the taruf, the custom of non-stop offering of food to guests. It's an Iranian way of being polite, but it doesn't translate in America. Here it seems pushy. In this case, Dr. Klein was lucky. My mom gave up pretty quickly. I opened the garage door for you, my dad says. I follow him. So, Mo, Dr. Klein says as he sets down the ladder by the washing machine. I'm curious about something. Jimmy Carter is always talking about human rights. What's your take on the subject? I can tell my dad is excited to give another mini lecture to Dr. Klein. He gets this look on his face when he can't wait to say something. I imagine it is very hard for Americans to understand the value of human rights and free speech. How can you appreciate something you have always had? He pauses for a moment. Perhaps it's like gravity. No one ever says thank goodness for gravity, but if it suddenly went away, we would all appreciate it. My dad is such an engineer who uses gravity as an example of anything. That's true, Dr. Klein says, looking thoughtful. American comedians are still making fun of when President Nixon said, I am not a crook. My dad shakes his head in disbelief. No one could ever do that in Iran. If they did, they would end up in prison. And when President Ford bumped his head getting out of a helicopter, they kept showing it on TV over and over again. People made fun of him and called him a bad name. Klutz, says Dr. Klein with a chuckle. I could not believe this, my dad exclaims, throwing both hands in the air. If the Shah ever bumped his head, no one would ever hear about it. Instead, there would be news reports about how he had never bumped his head. We would never call him that word. Dr. Klein laughs. Our presidents would probably appreciate not being the punchlines of jokes. He starts to leave. Yes, my father says, and some of the jokes are very funny. I just wish your comedians talked more slowly. I agree, and I wish I could stay longer, but I have promised to help David with his science project. I'd love to continue this conversation later. Dr. Klein shakes my dad's hand before walking out of the garage. Thanks, Mo, for helping me understand this crazy world a little bit better. Anytime, my dad says. I have much more to tell you. Dr. Klein smiles. Nice to see you too, Cindy. He pats me on the head. And Mo, if you ever want to play a round of golf, let me know. Yes, yes, my dad says quickly, even though he really means no thank you. I have no idea how to play. So, us Americans, we take our human rights for granted sometimes because we have the freedoms and liberties in America that other countries don't have, like Iran. So I thought that conversation between Mo and Dr. Klein was very interesting as well. All right, next chapter, skip. The following Sunday, as I'm searching my dad's closet for a Halloween costume, someone knocks on our door. My mom and I answer, and standing there is a human kaleidoscope, a man wearing a green, pink, striped polo shirt with a collar up, light and dark green plaid pants, and shiny white shoes. Quite the outfit. Hello, neighbors. I think this belongs to you, he says, holding up the pool keys. Finally! My mom and I are shocked. We thought the keys were lost forever. Before I can say anything, my mom whispers, Inchi poshade. What is he wearing? There is no time to explain golf attire to my mom, so I say, my mom wants to thank you. No need to thank me, neighbor. I'm Skip, he says. I saw your fires a while ago and found your key behind the bushes while walking my dog this morning. I said to myself, Skipper, whoever owns this keychain is a friend of yours. You see, I love fishing and I love bulldogs and I love beer, so here you go. He hands the keychain to my mom. I live in the house around the corner, and the one with a sign in the front yard that says, an old sailor lives here. Please tell your husband that the next time he wants to go fishing, I'll bring the beer. Thank you, my mom says. Thank you very much, I add. As soon as I shut the door, my mom says she wants to make some Persian food for Eskip to thank him. I suggest buying him a box of sheesh assorted chocolates instead. My mom thinks that this is a very bad idea, of course. Before I know it, she has opened one of her precious jars of grape leaves from Iran and is busy cutting off the stems. The onions and ground beef are in the pan, and the smell of cilantro and turmeric fills the house. That night, my mom hands me a paper plate of stuffed grape leaves arranged in 2 circles with a sprig of mint like a teeny tree in the middle. It looks so nice. But I'm sure Skip is a hamburger and fries kind of guy. He might never return another lost item again. Americans drink grape juice, moisturize their lips with grape-flavored lip smackers, but I know that eating grape leaves probably seems as wrong to them as eating the garden hose. On my way to Skip's house, I throw away the plate in the green belt trash can. I immediately feel bad. It's the first time I ever throw away a plate of food. I decide to go to Skip's house anyway. I turn the corner and look for the sailor sign. His house is easy to find, and when he opens the door, I say, "Hi, I'm Cindy, and I just want to thank you again for returning our pool key. I'm the one who lost it." Skip smiles and says, "How sweet of you to come by. You know, I always say that a stranger is a friend. I haven't met yet, so I'm glad you lost the key and made me a new friend. And you look like you might be the same age as my son. Do you go to Lincoln Junior High?" "Yes," I answer. Skip turns around and yells, "Brock, get down here." As soon as I hear the name Brock, I feel sick. Dear God, please tell me Brock is a common name in Newport Beach and that this isn't the same jerk from English class. A few seconds later, Brock shows up. It's the same jerk from English class. "Brock, this is Cindy, our neighbor. She's at Lincoln too." Brock just stands there, one of his eyes hidden under his side sweep bangs. "What do you say, Brock?" Skip asks, sounding slightly annoyed. Nice to meet you," he says, clearly not meaning it. I want to say, "We've already met on the first day of school. Remember how you made fun of me in front of the whole class?" That Brock. Instead, I say, "Nice to meet you too, but I don't mean it either." Sensing that this is not going to be any more conversation between me and Brock, Skip jumps in. "Well, this has certainly been a terrific evening." "Thank you again," I say. As I turn around to leave, Skip adds, "See you later, alligator." Or as Brock likes to say, "See you soon, raccoon." I can hear Brock's voice as I walk away. "Stop saying that, Dad. I never say that." I'm glad he's embarrassed. I'm horrified. What are the chances? Now I have 2 people to avoid in my neighborhood, Brock and original Cindy. When I get home, I tell my mom that Skip thanked her. "See," my mom says, "everyone loves stuffed grape leaves." Unfortunately, Mom doesn't know that Zamarad threw the plate of grape leaves in the bushes before she got to Skip's house. All right. Our next chapter is Halloween, and we will pick up on that tomorrow. Cindy has made 2 friends, one from theater class, and she's met a new neighbor named Skip. And she found out that Brock, the boy that makes fun of her, lives right next door. Very interesting. We also learned that in Iran, grape leaves is a dish that they eat there. So I'm going to actually look up what grape leaves are and how to make them right after I get off this video with you. I'm totally intrigued. All right, my friends, thank you again for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow to see what happens next in our read aloud. Enjoy the beautiful day, and thank you for watching. Toodles, everyone. Thank you.